Hi guys, it's Ebird Online and I'm here with another review from Before the 90 Days, and this is Season 4 Episode 3, Risky Business. And today I'm going to be talking to you about new couple Stephanie and Erika and Ash and Avery. Thank you guys, I've finally hit my 20,000 subscribers and I'm very grateful for all your support and your kind messages, so thank you so much for that. If you haven't done so already, please press subscribe and join the flock. And also don't forget to follow me on Twitter at mbird99. So first we're going to be talking about new couple Stephanie and Erika. So Stephanie is 29 years of age and she lives in Yonkers, New York. And Stephanie is a YouTuber, so she has videos on travel, fashion, lifestyle and her life experiences. Basically a little bit of everything. And I did have a look at her YouTube channel, and Stephanie currently has 351,000 subscribers. And by rights that should make the eBird hush her mouth, but you guys know me, not a chance. When we first see Stephanie, she's singing with a guitar, and I can't help but think that Usman is very lucky that there's someone less talented than him on the show this season. So Stephanie tells us she's from the Czech Republic and she moved here when she was around 7 years old with her mum. And Stephanie tells us, I'm in love with somebody and that somebody is a girl. And that somebody is called Erika, and she's 24 years old and she's Australian. Stephanie tells us she's bisexual too and that she's her soulmate. And as usual, these guys met online. Erika was watching her YouTube channel and she hit her up. She said they started messaging and they've probably sent each other 10,000 messages so far. She tells us Erika's absolutely amazing and is the perfect person for her. So Stephanie goes to see a couple of her friends and talk to them about her relationship, and they're playing tennis, and Stephanie speaks to her friend Heather about the relationship, and Stephanie says her mum doesn't know she's bisexual, and her friends ask her, well, who does she think you're going to see in Australia? And Stephanie says, well, she thinks I'm going to see a friend. And Heather tells production that Stephanie has had many failed relationships. And it seems her friends are a little bit worried for Stephanie. But I think Stephanie's done well. Most YouTubers have relationship choices of the Amazon Prime delivery man, the pizza delivery guy, or God forbid, a fellow YouTuber. I say it's good going for Stephanie. Stephanie's decided to step outside the box a bit and go for a subscriber. And then Stephanie tells her friends that she's really worried about telling her mum about the fact that Erika's a girl and that she's in love with her. And her friends both tell her, don't lie to your mum and you should tell her the truth. And I say to the friends, butt out, because I honestly believe that this is a really difficult situation. If you're gay or you're bi, I think it's your choice on when you tell people and if you tell people. And as everybody knows, there's lots of people in the older generation for whom it's an absolutely massive deal. And Stephanie has already told us her mum wants her to marry a lawyer or a doctor, but definitely a man. So we're not really sure at this point if Stephanie's mum is homophobic or if it's just something that's never been discussed. But there's obviously a reason that Stephanie is hesitant to tell her mum, so she probably knows that she's not going to have the greatest of receptions. And it just brings me back to a story of a very good friend of mine, and when he told his dad that he was gay, his dad actually punched him in the face. And this was so shocking to me because I've met his dad and he's so cool, but this was literally 20 years ago when he told him, and that was his first reaction. So I think it's quite glib sometimes for people who are not in that situation to say, oh, don't lie, just tell the truth. Every single person's situation, and I think the only person that knows when to tell somebody is the person in the situation. So next we see Stephanie, and she's telling us it's only a few days until I meet Erika, and she's very excited. And she says her mum's going to come over, and she said she knows all about the trip, but she doesn't know that she's bisexual, and she's got to gather up the courage to let her know. And she said when my mum comes over, she likes to come over, look around and see if there's anything to clean, and then she likes to cook, and she likes to cook lots and lots of food. Stephanie's mum, you're welcome to my house at any time. Private message me and I'll give you my address. And then Stephanie tells us that she has a disease, and it's called aplastic anemia. So apparently this disease is failure of the bone marrow, and she tells us that bacteria that are safe for other people are extremely dangerous for her. And she said she's constantly in hospital and she has to go every 3 weeks to have blood tests. And when she's saying this, I'm thinking, why didn't Erika come over to America? Surely that would have been safer. But anyway, when they sit down for dinner, the eBird notes it's a dinner of potato salad and chicken schnitzel. Stephanie's mum, I hereby disinvite you. I retract my earlier invitation. And her mum's asking her loads of questions, and she asks, why are you going to Australia? And who is this person? And Stephanie bottles it. She doesn't tell her that it's her lover, she just tells her it's a friend. And then her mum says, why don't you come here? But Stephanie lets us know that she wants to see Erika in her natural environment, and she wants to check Erika out. And so that's where we leave Stephanie and Erika for this week. And so what I take from Stephanie from looking at her YouTube account, she seems as if she's quite a needy individual. And I don't think this is anything to do with her illness, because she was only diagnosed a couple of years ago. But she said when she first moved to America, she didn't speak English for the first year and a half. So she was very, very quiet at school. And she said she always felt like the outsider. And it seems to me as if Erika's super outgoing. And even though Stephanie is a YouTuber, I think she's actually one of those YouTubers that is quite quiet in their real life but quite outgoing on camera. And so I've low-key got a feeling that this girl Erika will be quite a lot to handle. I noticed she's got pink and purple hair, and she seems a little bit wild compared to Stephanie. So I actually think Stephanie is going to have a lot to handle when she gets to Australia, but I guess time will tell. I do feel really sorry for Stephanie having this disease, and I do feel as if it does curtail her life somewhat, but I also think she hasn't thought this relationship through, because she tells us if she's exposed to certain bacteria, she could actually die because her body cannot fight it off. And without being too rude, I feel like Erika is a girl whose life looks like it's ensconced in bacteria. Her bacteria, other people's bacteria, but nevertheless, bacteria. In whatever form, bacteria. So guys, let me know in comments what you think about this couple, and let me know what you think about the whole situation of her being honest with her mum and telling her, or do you think it's completely up to her and she should be able to tell her as and when she wants? And next we come to Ash and Avery. This is a public service announcement, and I just want to clarify something that I said on an earlier video. Avery's mum said, I find it really, really strange that people talk like this on the internet, and I think the way that I delivered it on my previous video, people thought that I found it really strange that people spoke on the internet. Not at all. I kind of connect with people on the internet for a living. So yeah, it was a comment from Avery's mum, and not at all coming from the Ebird. I may be somewhat of a technophobe, but I have kind of moved into this millennium. So we see Avery with her daughter, and I think she's about 2. She's quite young, and Avery tells us that she's leaving today and that she's so excited to go to Australia and to see Ash. And she further tells us that connection has been effortless from the beginning. Avery, you've already told us that you've broken up via phone. How is this even possible? 3 times in 9 months. Now I don't know what you guys think is effortless, but this certainly isn't it. And her little daughter's so cute. She said, I love you, when Avery was getting her ready to go and stay with her dad. And she started crying, and it must have been really difficult for Avery to actually leave her as she was crying. But as we know, all kids cry as soon as their mum leaves, so I guess it was par for the course. And I had actually said in my earlier videos that I thought it was a good idea for her kids to get to know Ash, to see if they would bond or not. But one of my subscribers said it's possibly the best thing not to involve her kids at this point. And when I think about it logically, of course, it's better for Avery to go herself, suss out the situation, suss out Ash, and then if it's going to go any further, then I guess at a later point she can introduce Ash to her kids, knowing that their connection was actually real and that they're going forward with things. And Avery tells us as soon as she saw Ash online, she knew she wanted to meet him. And as we know, Ash always says to Avery she's absolutely gorgeous and she's stunning, and she absolutely is. And it makes me wonder, are these two in it just for the looks? They're both adults and they both have kids, so you would think by this point that there would be a lot more emphasis on shared values and so on, rather than just you look hot, no you look hot, no you look hot, you look even hotter. And there's just something about this relationship which tells me it's on a surface level only. And Avery gets into her taxi to board her plane, and the next time we see her, she's on the way to Australia to meet up with Ash. And by this point she's very, very nervous, and she's worried that their deep connection may not transfer from the internet to real life. I can tell you what will transfer: the arguments that you've had online. And I believe the red flags will also transfer. And finally, we're treated to our first VT of Ash, and we see him on the beach looking at the sea, and he tells us he came to university in Australia and he loved Melbourne so much he decided he was not going back home to Mauritius and he was going to stay there. And we see him in his apartment, and it's absolutely beautiful, guys. It's all open plan and it's steeped in modernity, and it's just the kind of apartment that I can imagine Ash living in. And he's online and he's talking to one of his clients, in inverted commas. And Ash tells us he has the tools and the skills to help with relationships. Really, Ash? I would love to know what your degree was in, and I would love to know what your actual qualifications for this relationship coaching are. And he tells us 85 to 90% of his clients are women, but he's not quite sure why this is, but he guesses it's because they're more open and he's more easily able to guide them. In other words, they fancy him and they more readily swallow his bullcrap. And we see him speaking to one of his clients via Skype, and as soon as she comes up on the screen, it's quite a good looking girl, and he told her straight away, "You're beautiful and your makeup is on point today." As I long suspected, he simply flirts online with his clients, and this is extremely unsurprising. I believe that his clients think they have a chance with him, and so they keep coming back for his scam services, hoping that one day they'll get lucky. And Ash tells us he believes that he can actually help people. I believe you can as well, Ash. I believe that you can help yourself to their hard-earned cash. And as his client tells him her woes, he tells her, "You're very wise, and I think this will be an easy journey." Everything seems an easy journey to Ash, everything, even blending two families on the opposite sides of the world. And he continues to flirt with his clients. And next, Ash opens up about his own personal heartbreak, and he experienced this when he split from his ex-wife. He says he found it really tough, but straight after this tear-jerking scene, he lets us know, with a sinister little grin, that he does rather well with the ladies. However, he says he hasn't had any serious relationships until Avery, and he thinks that Avery is drop dead gorgeous. Okay, Ash, you're saying you haven't had any serious relationships. How many of the women that you've been dating thought that their relationship was serious, but in your mind it wasn't at all? I bet 85 to 90% of them. He goes to the florist to get Avery some flowers, and he says this is to celebrate the union. He said flowers are life and flowers are love. Ash, if you cut flowers, you are killing them. They are dead, they are no longer alive. Just thought I'd let you know. And the florist seems to know Ash very well, and we later find out this is because Ash is his best client by a country mile. And with a wry smile, the florist says he knows lots and lots of girls. He just knows what to do and what to say. He's a natural, and it's almost like he's looking at some sort of dating guru. And I think that's because he is. And then Ash tells us if everything goes well, he really wants to propose to Avery, and then he wants to move to the United States. And that's everything from this couple this week. So guys, Ash is everything I thought about him and more. He's basically flogging this whole "I'm a relationship coach," and I don't buy any of it. I think he's just a silver-tongued guy, and he is obviously quite easy on the eye, and he's quite flattering and quite charming, and he's more or less speaking to these girls saying, if you want to get somebody like me, somebody successful with a beautiful modern apartment and a great life and wonderful beautiful photos on Instagram, this is how you do it. And I find his scam language so irritating. And he demonstrates his scam language when he says, "I think Avery's very cautious, and she needs to allow me to give love, and she needs to feel comfortable in receiving it as well. Everything's going to be up to her." And it's just more hollow lines. Avery's cautious for a good reason. She has 2 kids, and she's flying halfway around the world on little more than a whim. And the way Ash says it's going to be up to her, this is his way to push everything onto her. So if it doesn't go well, it's in some way Avery's fault, and he's in no way culpable. So guys, tell me what you think. Do you think that Ash is just one big scammer? Do you think he's a modern day version of the used car salesman, cut and polishing cars that have seen better days and selling them at top price on his forecourt? I honestly do think that that's the case. And also I think that Ash just drops things into his narrative to make us think, oh my god, he's so amazing. So Ash said earlier that he's a single parent, and I look at his apartment and I think it doesn't look like any apartment that a child lives at. And I wonder to myself, is he really a single parent, or is he a weekend dad? Does he have the child 50-50? I'd be very, very interested to find out. But just the way he says single parent insinuates that he's the main caregiver. And I think this is just another utilisation of scam language by Ash to make us all think he's nothing but a great guy, helping all these women out of the goodness of his heart. Nah, sorry, don't buy it for a second. So guys, let me know down below what you think. Do you buy into Ash, or have you got red flags flying at full mast like the Ebird? I think Ash is going to say everything he needs to say to Avery to reel her in, and I think that Avery makes such bad decisions she's going to be reeled in. But I think this is just a way for Ash to get his foot onto USA soil. Let me know down below what you think, and please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I'll be back tomorrow with another review from before the 90 days. Thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you again for my 20k subscribers. You've been listening to Ebird Online. Ciao for now.